Yo, we
We
locked
locked in.
in, y'all.
We locked in.
What's up? What's up? What's
Yo.
up, Joe?
Yo, what's going on? What's up, Joe?
Peace, gangs. Peace. Peace. How y'all?
I'm
All right.
well, my brother. I'm well, man.
That's a
Turn
blessing.
the light behind me. Turn all the lights off.
I'm trying to figure out my lighting situation over here too.
Now KK want to call me instead of him just coming on live. This is crazy, man. Abdul Malik. Ridiculous, man. So, first of all, man, to everybody out there, man, you already know what it is, man. We locked in. I'm your host, Moshe Canty. I'm here with my co-host, Mikey B. And KK is on his way, our other co-host. And we have here our esteemed guest, Mr. Joe Williams, LCSW, co-host of, shall I say, Therapy Thursdays. You know what I mean? You know, you got your own little
Therapy Thursdays.
You got your own little slot. So, you know, by any means, I see you, man. But you know, we're here tonight to discuss a very serious topic, a topic that everybody should basically be tuned into. Joe, why don't you give us some backdrop real quick, man, before we you know really get in, but give us what you intend on talking about tonight, man.
So for the third episode of our bi-weekly Therapy Thursdays,
Really get in, but give us what you intend before we you know really get in, but give us what you intend.
Today's topic is going to be about the traumas of financial illiteracy. How our historical relationship with money and finances have negatively impacted our families and our communities. You know, I think this here is a key topic when we think about our spending power as a Black community in this country. You'd be surprised at the numbers that I found out. And when we think of the state of our people in this community, or in this country rather, is kind of appalling. So I think this is something that we need to talk about, especially with so many changes in financial trends, how money fluctuates, how money is generated within our community, where is our money spent, how is our money used, and what is the state of our people in relationship to money and just our people as a whole. So that's a little backdrop.
Well, for everybody that's tuned in for the first time, if you have not subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and share it, man, with your loved ones. So this is the thing, man. You know, we at We Locked In, you know, we wanna change the narrative a little bit, not to take anything away from what other people are talking about on their platforms. That's their business. But we want to distinguish ourselves from anybody that's out there. We want to talk about relevant topics that our people out there can gain some benefit from. I mean, because what's the purpose for us coming up here if we're not going to gain any benefit? You know, conversation after conversation, we're having these very, very deep and intentional conversations about topics that obviously can help us better ourselves overall. So as the brother Joe Williams just described, you know, we're going to talk about some money, what that money looks like, how that bag, get into the bag and all that, right? But not so much that, you know, we out here with our own ambitions to try to empower ourselves financially, but we're going to speak about some of these traumas that accompany this whole process of getting to the bag, what we do when we get the money, you know, how that money is spent, not saving money, poor spending habits, how that leads to other forms of stress and oppression and things of that nature. So we got a serious, you know, conversation tonight. You know, we obviously embrace everybody's feedback. We look forward to it. Put your thoughts in the chat. Put your questions in the chat at some time throughout. If y'all have them directed towards Mikey B, KK, or myself, then obviously we'll answer that. And the same thing goes with our brother, Mr. Williams here. The brother Williams, he, if you have questions directly towards him, he'll answer them as well. But so with that, I'm just gonna, turn it over. Salute John Shav 139. I see you, my brother. I'm gonna turn it over to my brother, Mr. Joseph Williams, man. What's up, Joe?
Appreciate you, King. So what is our relationship to money as a community? We have many terms of getting to the bag. We have many visualizations of, he dripping, he icy, she this, she that. What is our spending money? How is money viewed in our community? I read this statistic that in 2021, within the Black community, our spending power rose to $1.6 trillion as a community. $1.6 trillion. That is more than the gross domestic products in many third world countries. What their money is situated like in some poor and foreign countries. $1.6 million. Yet there's a sad reality and a sad fact that we often inherit apartments and not property. When we think of our community and the local grocery stores, the local supermarkets, how many of them are Black owned? Yet in our community, there's damn near a fast food restaurant, there's guaranteed to be a liquor store, and now the newest trend is a bunch of smoke shops. What is our spending power actually being spent on? How are we using the bread that we do come in contact with to sustain, to uplift, and to empower our own community? I spoke about before, and I speak about it often, the three types of people. It's the wise. There's the individuals that are wise, who learn from the miscalculations and the missteps of others. There's the individuals who are smart, who learn from the consequences of their own miscalculations and missteps. And then the third type is the repeater, the person that keeps repeating the same miscalculations over and over and over. To give it into a chess analogy, right? Fool's mate is about four moves on either side of the board. Depending on the opening, depending on the next move, checkmate, fool's mate, right? When I say the repeater continues to use the same opening, next move, third move, that leads them to checkmate. So why do I mention the wise, the smart, and the repeater? I'd be remiss if I didn't share my own miscalculations when it comes to money and why I'm in the state that I'm in and building out of it. Because the goal is to connect and to build. I've been thinking about that term. We're on our Brooklyn BS. And for me, the BS now stands for build stronger. So yeah, I'm on my Brooklyn BS. I'm building stronger, right? So what were my mishaps and my miscalculations when it came to money? When I came home in 2013, I jumped right into Columbia University. Within the first 20 months home, I had my master's from Columbia, right? Got to touched a bunch of money from the student loan here, student loan there. And because I lived where I'm living at in Queens, it was like a two-fare zone. I had to take the train. I had to take the bus to a train to another train just to get to any destination. So the first bit of money I touched, I wanted a car. I wanted to be mobile. That was my goal. I want to be able to move around. Why was that a mishap for me? It was a mishap for me and a miscalculation for me because had I established my foundation, had I established the home front. The home front is somewhere you can always go to with your key. You can always pull up to jumping off a bus, jumping out of a cab, or on foot or on a bike. Yet when we talk about the image, when we talk about the ego, and we talk about poor chess moves, the car was the thing I needed. I needed to be able to come and go as fast as possible and on my own. That was a miscalculation for me. So I share that. Why? Because fast forward to going on August 30th, make 9 years home. I've paid rents. Me and my ex-wife had an apartment that we got together. But aside from that, I never owned my own. I never had my own. And I realized that my miscalculations, my missteps, is one of the reasons that I'm in the situation that I'm in, building to get out of it. What is my relationship to money, right? When we think of money, we got the term now, we get into the bag. And I remember having a conversation with my big homie Fry, and I was telling him how, like, yo, I understand how I make some decent bread. Like, I'm, as this social worker and the different hustles that I'm doing, not only as a social worker and the bread that I'm making, I'm also spending a lot, right? And I remember speaking to him and he said, well, one of your issues have been and always was, you have a stick-up kid mentality as opposed to the hustler's mentality. And I was like, Fry, you gotta break that down for me. And he said, one of the things that I taught you was, your money get low, you grab your gun, you go get more. You're not really thinking of the next flip. You're not thinking of, because at the end of the day, as long as you have the tools of the trade, you could quickly go get some more money. So as opposed to the hustler's mentality is the stack, the re-up, the flip, the stack again, the re-up, the flip. In that equation, and I'm not promoting crime in no shape, form, or fashion, so I never want what I say to be misinterpreted, right? But the mindset, this is the key that he was speaking about, was the mindset. The hustler's mindset is always thinking about the flip. Whereas the stick-up kid's mindset is not thinking about the flip. It's not thinking about saving. It's just getting about the next jokes. So I had to change a lot of my spending habits. I had to change a lot of the things that I poured my money into. One of the mistakes I made coming home, being gone for so long, Christmas time comes around. And after being gone for so long, and now I got my social worker degree, and now I'm working. Oh, I want to get a bunch of gifts for Christmas. I was going for my daughter's life. I'm now in a relationship at the time, and you know, family members, I want to splurge for Christmas. So I get a Macy's card. I get an Amazon card. I get a Discover card. I got a Lord and Taylor card. At one point, I had about 9 credit cards and store cards and found myself in super duper debt. How do I had to get out of this? I remember making a video being at work where I was like, yo, I'm tired of this. And I cut up my cards. I just had to cut them up. It took me several years to knock that debt down to whereas right now, the only debt that I have is about $2,700 left on my Avalon and in my student loan debt. I've eradicated crazy debt. Now, as we grow in debt, or as I grew in debt, right, it also impacted my credit score. So now when I'm looking to make these maneuvers in life for an establishment, building a foundation, what I found for me was that the lower credit score either had them deny me. Now let's tack on being formerly incarcerated. Let's tack on low spending or low savings, and then a poor credit score. It impacted me crazy. So what does that mean for me and in my community? As I'm growing, I'm realizing that 1.6 trillion that I mentioned within this community, we have to spend better. And in spending better, right, that also means being cognizant of what we're spending our money on. I made a note here of how many brands have we made the owners, great grandchildren, super wealthy, and some of them haven't even been born yet. Some of them are only 5. Some of them are only 2. And yet, based on our $1.6 trillion spending power, we've made other nationalities, other businesses, other people more wealthy than ourselves. I mentioned about, yes, never go over 30% of your limit on credit cards. That's a fact. I appreciate that, J.E. Moneybags. I realized as I surveil my community, there are hardly any Black-owned bodegas. There are hardly any Black supermarkets. When I think of brands that we buy, one of the things that jumped out to me, and many people may give me pushback, was the difference between Jordans and Starberries. When Stephon Marbury tried to come out with his Starberry sneaker to make decent looking kicks affordable for the people within our community, selling them at a super fraction of the price of what a pair of Jordans cost. And when I say Jordan, let's not mistake Michael Jordan as the face, as the ambassador of, and not forget that the company and the owner is actually Nike. His sneaker didn't do well. It actually, for many, it flopped. $15 versus $150, $200 for a pair of Jordans. People standing online. Many of our loved ones didn't have the bread at the time, but would stand online, spend some of their lives to make sure that their kids was fly. Because I ain't growing up, I ain't have it, so I'm gonna make sure that mines have it. This is the lens that we view money. We don't see it as a tool to build our foundation, but as a means of building our image so that we can look the part. I go back to this often where, are we leaving property for our kids or leaving apartments for our kids? That's a thought that I've played with many times over, because it seems to be the norm of being in an apartment, being in a project for generations on end. We're not thinking about retirement. We're not thinking about saving. We're not thinking about the cost of our funeral. Lo and behold, when we're born, we're automatically given a death date. And every day that we accomplish is getting us closer and closer to that death date. Is it a morbid thought? Nah, it's a reality. It's being realistic. I'm not going to live forever. My parents won't live forever. My kids won't live forever.
I just seen this old timer on Facebook. He 146. I don't know.
I mean, 146. Will he hit 150? If it's God's will, he will. But at one point, when he does pass, who's going to bear the cost of his funeral? Will it be him planning strategically, making strategic moves so that his survivors don't have to bear that cost? Does he have life insurance so that when he does pass, in his death, his children or his grandchildren inherit, if not a pension, if not Social Security, they don't have to scrape up and do a GoFundMe for the cost of burial? These are things that we're not, as a community, we're not taught about this. As a community, we don't look through that lens. Why? Because what's promoted in our community? YOLO. Yo, get to it. Get to the bag. Run it up, run it up, run it up, run it up. It's not about how much we're pulling in as opposed to how much we're stacking, how much we're saving.
Where does that come from? Like,
Good question, bro.
You know, like, I mean, why is it that we have this desire to be ostentatious? Like, and why is it that we have this desire to just want to spend without discipline, as the saying goes, you know, being fiscally irresponsible? Like, what are the origins of that?
First is lack of education. That's why today's topic is the traumas of financial illiteracy. We weren't taught this. But it has a deeper meaning. It has a deeper meaning, or a deeper root. When we think of the Black community and we think of those who have tried to rise to prominence, when we think of Black Wall Street, when we think of Central Park, I just saw something on IG about where Central Park was once a thriving Black community. We had 3 churches, 50 businesses, and they listed it as eminent domain and took it over, bulldozed. And it's a way to keep their foot on our necks in this country. Why? Because it's recognized America and Western civilization is ran on capitalism, right? They're the owners of production. those who have the means to production, and then there are the worker bees. Anytime, and a thought just popped in my head when I think of in many rural and Midwest states, farming and agricultural is the big money maker. Black farmers are having such a hard time. Why is that? Why is that in our school system, right, in our community, the school system receives funding based on the property taxes of the neighborhood? I'm going to say that again. The school system, each school, each district receives X amount of allocated funding based on the property taxes of the surrounding community. Strategies, chess moves, fool's mate. When we think of these moves, if we want to hurt an organization, if we want to hurt a business, stop spending your money there. The moment we stop spending our money there, they have no more revenue. As their revenue ceases or trickles down, the reserve revenue has to be spent to pay taxes or pay rent, pay employees and pay this. And as that dwindles down, oh, this particular business is going out of business. Oh, it's a final sell because this particular business is going out of business. It's designed that way. So within our community, to keep us enslaved in various forms, Mike B, you mentioned before how we still suffer from the vestiges of slavery. One of the ways to keep us indebted, to keep us enslaved, is to ensure that we are financially illiterate, we are financially irresponsible, that we do not recognize the spending power. $1.6 trillion. Not a billion, not a million, spending not 100 power. Million. $1.6 trillion. Wherever that reverb, I wanted to let it play out. $1.6 trillion is our spending power. And each of us on the board, with the power that we have, we're not making smart chess moves. You think of the brands, the top brands. You think of Gucci, you think of Balenciaga, you think of Fendi, you think of we could rattle off. We could rattle off the list, right? Many people throughout the pandemic saw it as a bandemic, right? And touch bread various ways. But their bread, they put on their money. And what I mean by that, I was playing with this word whitewash. What does it mean to be whitewashed, right? And one of the definitions was to cover up a structure that is faulty or that is not sound, but to cover it up to make it look like it is thriving, it has life to it, so on and so forth. This is one of the things that we do. What do? The moment we touch some bread, we want to get designers. We want to get jewelry. We want to get a car, and we don't buy property. We don't pool our money together to open up a storefront or an establishment. We don't pool our money together to say, let me invest in this individual with this idea. But we'll go to Madison Ave, we'll go to Manhattan, and we'll spend the bread, however way we got it, on a bunch of things to look like we have more money. And then that doesn't stop there, because then when we pull up to these nightclubs, make sure that we got the bottle trains coming. Spend $5,000 in a night. That $5,000, at one point, it cost about $10,000 to open up a Chick-fil-A franchise. $10,000 to open up a Chick-fil-A franchise. When I think of what our money has been spent on and how we wear our clothes, how we wear the money that we do touch. We're only thinking about the here and the now. We're thinking about the image and the ego and not thinking about building the foundation. And this is the plight of our people as a community. I'm not saying don't look fly. I'm not saying to not take care of yourself. I'm not saying to treat yourself. But if you are investing more into your image, the appearance, the outer shell, and less into your foundation, we are setting ourselves up for failure. We are making fools make moves. And are we going to continue to repeat these moves? Are we going to be wise? Are we going to be smart? Because at the end of the day, it's on us. Every move we make.
Yo, you know, it's crazy. I'm just sitting and thinking just about the money aspect, and that's enough money. That's more money than some countries generate, bro.
That's a fact.
Generate, and the thing is, not really having our own institutions and manufacturing places and plants. It's like basically this is the building of a nation. So when you have that much spending power, like you like that needs to be utilized in a proper way. And it's crazy because it made me also think about Black Wall Street. How money, I believe it was 14 times or something. I'm not sure about the number. Don't quote me on it. Somebody look it up if y'all find it in the chat. Put it in there. But I believe it was circulated like 14 times, maybe even more, inside of the community before it even left.
Mm-hmm.
Before it even left. And then not only that, like they generated so much money. It was like airplanes, bottling companies. One guy had I forgot the sister name, but she had a boat she used to take out to Paris to go shopping when she felt like it. But that money stayed with inside the people though, and that's the point. And this is where we need to get at today. Because if one of the things, if you want things to change, that is a big part of it. How you actually spending your money, because the same money that you're spending is actually funding these same police, these same politicians, right? The same governmental structures that you may be against. All that money that you're spending is still actually financing and funding them. So once you start really understanding that, and it's like, wait, hold up, I'm giving my money up for this. And I love what you was talking about just from the hustling aspect, and it made me think about that. I was in a box, right? And just thinking about the money I made and stuff that I was doing when I was a kid, even when I started out running packages, and your average package worker, right? Guy getting a package on the block makes as much as a middle class family, right? And he doesn't have nowhere near the amount of property, prestige, anything that a middle class family has, right? But yet still, he's running around clothes, jewelry, yeah. But you don't have nowhere near. My wife had expressed something to me too, because she had mentioned this topic that we're speaking about tonight. And she, in the hospital, she does radiology and stuff like that. So she's like, yo, when she see like young gangbangers, or just young people come through, period, hurt, shot, whatever, their insurance don't never be together. They'll possibly get the worst type of treatment, right? And it's like, damn, if you just took some money and just set your insurance up or your credit up and just had that, then you'd be taken care of better. But it happens on so many different levels, though. And she pointed that out, and I was like, wow, I never even looked at that. Like, you out there grinding, you get hit up, you go to the hospital, you take me to the worst hospital, and you probably gonna get the worst possible treatment you can. And it's just little things like that. If you're gonna be smart about anything, learn how to put your money up. Or how to invest something, save it, because like, especially to those that's in the game, we try to reach those and try to get them out and do better. So the thing is, for you to actually get into a position to help your family and do right by yourself, but you have to know how to do it. You have to know what to do with that particular money. Like now, me going to prison so young, like I never knew nothing about, like, wasn't setting up no bank accounts, no credit card. Like you speaking about the credit and all that, none of that. So I'm actually learning that now. And I got into a situation with my car, right? And I was so worried because I'm like, damn, I got to get this money up. How the hell am I gonna get all this money to pay? And my wife was like, listen, you got USAA. That thing is coming, full thing. Boom, boom. You ain't got to worry about nothing. But just having that type of security and things like that allows a person to be able to maneuver and build better. That's how I was able to get my car so fast. Like I ain't just been home 5 months. I had my car the second month out.
That's a fact.
Just learning how to actually handle business. And when you do that correctly, because we have to empower each other. When you do that correctly, you empower yourself and you empower your family.
That's a fact.
I think to Joseph Williams's point about education, I think that is very important that this matter be highlighted. And I say that with full sincerity because how many of us are being taught effective money management skills in our households? How many were taught this? How many are being taught this? And I'm saying that I'm not suggesting that it's not being taught. You know, many of us when we were younger, we probably had piggy banks in the house. There probably were some invaluable lessons about money that were being taught to us. But how many of us are being educated about the significance of the capitalist society that we live in? About how it's structured, about how we can utilize it for our benefit. I'm not saying that we have to become avaricious, like we gotta, you know what I'm saying, get so selfishly greedy that we willing to do whatever for $1. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that we understand that there is a system in which we're able to use for our betterment. But how many of us understand economics? How many of us are being taught this? And I think from an educational standpoint, it's important that these topics are discussed. If they're not discussed, what will happen is that our children, the people in our household, will somehow believe that money grows on trees, that money can just be spent with impunity. Like you could just spend it just for the sake of doing so. But there has to be education as to what that money is, which is a tool to be able to be transformed into something that you desire. And I think that's what's lacking in our community, the education part. Because a lot of us are uninformed about what we should do with the money. The biggest resource in our community is ourselves. Outside of that is the financial resources that we're able to accumulate. In our community, there's a lot of wealth. Joe, you brought that up. We invest in other cultures. And it's nothing wrong with you spending your money with other cultures. That's not a crime. What becomes a crime is when you're spending it with other cultures at the expense of your own culture.
That's a fact. And yourself.
This is when it becomes, a negligent. This is when you are remiss in your duties, as a responsible individual, when you're doing this type of stuff. I remember years ago, I used to go to the Chinese restaurant in our hood, Joe, on Stanley between Cleveland and Ashford.
Okay.
And the lady who owned the spot, she used to always look at my clothes. And she used to always say to me, every time I see you, you have different clothes, different outfit, right? And what she was trying to say to me was that, you got a lot of outfits, like all the time. Sometimes you see me 2-3 times a day and I'm changing my clothes, right? It's like, yo, you always got different clothes on. And every time I walked in the Chinese restaurant, I never saw her with like more than like 2 or 3 pairs of jeans on. And I knew her for like 20 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my point is that they have no disrespect to us or anyone in particular, any cultures or what have you, but there's just a different concept or appreciation of how they're using their resources versus how we were using our resources. We're just squandering money. Money's coming in so fast, we think it's like growing on trees. We do what we want with it. Where they're using their money in a cooperative. They're pooling their resources together so that they can then help their family back in China come to this country. They can pool their resources together so that they can then do what? They can ensure that a relative within that cooperative can then now own their own store somewhere else. I remember I was in Queens on Rockaway Boulevard. Driving in Queens. This is back in the days, too, like the early 90s. But in the 80s, I remember seeing one of the relatives or one of the workers inside of the Chinese restaurant in East New York. And I'm in Queens now in the early 90s at a Chinese restaurant. And the same individual who was working at the restaurant in East New York now became the owner of his own shop in Queens.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, wow. I remember when the guy came over, he barely spoke English, or he gave us the impression that he didn't. But after a few years in America, he now was able to his English had gotten better, and now he had his own store. I said, how did a man come from another country over here, was able to get himself established where now he has his own establishment? What is it that they're doing? No disrespect to them, they're taking advantage of these opportunities. What is it that they're doing better than what we're doing? And I think the difference is that there's a lack of education between us and them, with all due respect.
No, that's a fact. It is. And John Shaft 139 had asked, why is it that other black people with money look down on black people without money, right? And there's a lack of education in the home front. Remember, I always keep going back. The lens that we look through is a lens that we have developed throughout our childhood, throughout our formative years. Now, and all too often, our parents parent the way they were parented until they choose differently. So if our parents' relationship was money was in a way where it was squeezing a dollar to make it, my moms used to teach me about, right now, people hate going shopping with me, food shopping, because I'm in the aisles, I'm comparing prices, I'm being very, very strategic. I am utilizing money to the best at my ability, and or I go in there with a set budget. I have my list, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna get this, we're gonna get this, we're gonna get this, we're gonna get this, and I make sure that I stretch that dollar. That was taught to me by my moms. My moms taught me about allowance. I had chores in the house, so if I didn't do my chores, I wouldn't get an allowance. How did I have to learn to save? I remember buying my first color TV. It was a Magnavox. I don't know if it was a 19-inch color TV. I saved up from getting my allowance. Now, where did I go wrong? I got wrong when I got into the streets and developed the stick-up kid mentality. Oh, it's just going to keep coming. It's just going to keep coming. I'm going to keep getting it. What I did not learn or what I did not internalize was delayed gratification. One of the reasons why people with money look down on others without and within the black community, some who may not see themselves as black or they're from other cultures. And it's like, well, if we can come here from the impoverished country that we were in, band together, put our money together, sleep on the floor, delay instant gratification so that 10 years from now I'm driving in a Benz, now I own a house. Now, the Chinese restaurant owner or the worker that was in one store, what they do is they operate as a cooperative. So it'd be 10 of them. 4 asleep here, 4 asleep there, 2 asleep there. And each time, all right, now it's your turn. We're going to help fund your goal and your dream. And then when you make it, you continue to give back, and we continue to fund one another like a susu until everybody wins. Everybody gets a hand. Our education in this country as Black Americans, our education within our community has been about spending bread. Look like you got it. What's the saying? If you look good, you feel good. Yes. We have internalized that to mean the moment I touch money, put it on my body. Don't let it work for me, put it on my body. All right. So we speak about we speak about this. We speak about, you know, where we spend. I remember going into a store, and the store had a sign up that said, "We do not accept EBT." And I stopped. And I said, "Yo, y'all don't accept EBT here?" He was like, nah, you gotta go to the other store. I said, okay, so I'm gonna take all my money to the other store, because within this community, this here is a community who is surviving off of EBT. And if you are not pro the community, I'm not supporting your business, and walked out. But how many of us will continue within that same community, will continue to support that store? Are we buying black? What do I mean by buying black? I'm getting ready to plug all my peoples who, like, I think of Tanya Thomas's Skin Clinic. I think of Creative Square Studios. I did my art and paint. I think of Brooklyn Gyms, where nobody leaves sober. You go and you get your drinks on. I think of Omega Wellness, where I got my acupuncture done. I think of the Steam Lounge and Spa, where I recently took my daughter and we got our massages and facials done. I think of Couture Culture Charms, where represent your culture by what you're wearing on your feet if you into Crocs. I think of Threads NYC. Go and shop. I think of the Chelsea House. I'm pulling up next Saturday on the 19th for my birthday dinner and my birthday party. Spending black. I'm putting my money where my people are trying to generate their bread. I copped 2 hoodies from Moshe, Conscious Mind Ventures.
They here, baby.
There you go.
We got them for you.
The God I be. The God
I'm gonna
I
get
be.
that. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna wear this with my hood love hat. You hear me?
Listen, there you go, hood love. You know,
got the hoodies.
The God I be got the jacket. Got the jacket that says, "Call me king, don't call me nigga." Like, we have to support our people and support our community. Right. So one, that's buying black. That's how we're pooling our money together. That's the same analogy of us operating as a cooperative. As people look down on us, they look down on us. Why? Because right now, somebody overhead is flying in a Learjet. Somebody right now is on their way to Dubai. Somebody on their way coming back from Africa, coming back from Mexico. We got the same 24 hours in a day. What are we doing with our time? I believe it was the first podcast I asked the question, if we woke up and had $86,400 in our bank account, we didn't do anything to put it in there, right? And then when we wake up the next day, we realize we got a fresh $86,400. None of the money from yesterday rolls over to today. After day 5, you realize each day you wake up, you got a legit $86,400 in your account. The goal is going to be to spend it up. Use as much of that bread as you can, because it does not transfer over to the next day. Well, guess what? Every day that God blesses us with another day, we have 86,400 seconds. What are we doing with that time? Are we investing our time to build? Are we taking our resources that we do have and be strategic in building? Or are we wasting time? Are we wasting our energy? I think also of when you were mentioning about the owners of the store, now he had his own spot in Queens, right? And what came to me was Russell Simmons and Def Comedy Jam, right? And after every show with Def Comedy Jam, Russell Simmons would come out and have on Yankee cap, and have on a little vest, and have on some jeans and a pair of Adidas shell toes. And he'd be like, "Thank you for coming out. God bless. Good night." And then I think of, I don't know if it was a post from Bill Gates or maybe it was Warren Buffett. They wear Wranglers, they wear Levi's, they wear regular clothes, but their bank account is 0.00000 owed up.
Yeah, that Yo, shout it out, Nation the Bear. You know, you already know, man. I love you, my brother. So you're right. They have a different, and that's the difference between
What's
being,
that? Rich Dad Poor Dad?
yeah, that's Rich Dad Poor by Robert Kiyosaki. You know, this is the difference between being rich and wealthy.
That's a fact.
And those individuals have a wealthy concept. If first of all, you have to, and it goes back to the education piece. When you know better, you do better. All right, and it's easy to spend money. You know, money is nothing. We done spent all type of bread, right? But the reality is that at some point, with knowledge, you become responsible. Now, you just can't be you can't be held accountable for that which you lack knowledge of, but you will be held accountable for that which you do have knowledge of. And if you know that $1.6 trillion is what we have as a spending block, if you know this, then you should be a little bit more conscious, more aware of how you go about spending your money. It's nothing wrong with spending your money. Spend your money. But the point is that there has to be an intentional way in which you're saving your money. You're investing your money. What are you investing your money in? Right? Are you haphazardly spending? Is it just blow it all away? Or are you intentional with it? Is it strategic? We always talk about the game of chess. Are your moves strategic? Or are you just moving pieces?
Facts.
So I think as long as you have an intentional plan as to what you want to do and how you want to do it, you can start making some incremental steps. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of people's situation, particularly in lower income communities, is just really difficult. It's not easy for them to come up out of that predicament. The reality is that. So they are, because they're so complacent in terms of the subsidized housing piece, the dependency on the government, the fact that they might not understand what steps need to actually be taken. That's one thing. But you might see people living like that, but then you see them also, you go into their home and you're like, wow, it looks amazing in here. 75-inch TV. Mm-hmm. You're like, wow, I would have never thought this. It's just the issue of them taking the initiative to use this knowledge to help transfer it over into something that is beneficial for them. And I think that ultimately that's what separates those who are making undisciplined choices versus those who are making strategic, well-calculated decisions that are in their benefit. Until we can kind of like get a hold of that, our people are going to continue to spend money like it's nothing, and we see that happen every day.
So know what I think. Like we come on here and we talk. So we always like to come up with solutions and try to give people some real sound thing. And I think you just started off with the first step, and that's knowing what you want to do with your money. Right, the first actual step. Y'all that's watching, share like first know what you want to do with your money. All right, and I would say the second is start just trying to save a little bit. Just trying to save a little bit. You know what I'm saying? A little bit at a time. I mean, and then you'll look up and see, like, hold up, I got this one, because that's something that I just started doing. And it helps out. I just found out that helps out tremendously. Some emergency thing happened or something come up, because you never know what's going to happen. I'm like, hold up, I just put some bread over here. Let me go ahead. I can go ahead.
Invest.
Yeah, but I would say that too. But before they even get to that stage of investing, they need to know how to handle the money that they actually have first.
Let me give a quick tip. Let me give a quick tip. If anybody got a dollar bill in their pocket, pull out a dollar bill, right? Now, on this dollar bill, one of the things is equated with the alphabet with the number that's there, right? So the dollar A or the letter A is going to be 1. If you got a B in your pocket, it'll be a 2. If you got a C, it'll be a 3. 6 will be F. So on and so forth, right? Pick 2 letters, 3 letters. Pick the letters in your name that you can find. Every time you come across that particular dollar,
I like that.
the A, put it away. Give yourself 6 months of just putting away all the A's. I put away A's, I put away D's, I put away J's, and I put away K's. And in the 6 months, just see that alone. It seems like a lonely low dollar. But if somebody had $1 million and you took that $1 away, are they a millionaire? And the answer is no. So every dollar counts. Start saving. That's one tactic. The second, read. Go online, get Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Read books about saving money, managing money, investing money eventually. But like KK said, you got to first know, you got to know what's coming in.
Yeah.
Before you know what's going out. I think of that dripping, right? Dripping. I think, and when I hear it, I think of an ice cube. And as the ice cube melts, it's just dripping. It's going out. It's going out.
Yo, this right here is so true. All these subscriptions, bro.
Oh yeah, she said.
I get money taken out my account from all kind of stuff, bro.
That's another thing. Check. Go through your phone. Go through everything.
My wife is just knocking off mad subscriptions, bro.
Money that's being paid because it's like $5 here, $10 here, another $5 here, $20 here.
Yo, I know people that got. I know at least 3 people right now that got Planet Fitness subscriptions, and all they doing is donating. You heard? They doing some heavy donation. They doing some heavy donating to Planet Fitness. You heard? Don't go at all. But them subscriptions, yo, that stuff add up, bro. I got so much auto pay stuff, man. My wife was just taking stuff out. She be taking out stuff I didn't even know she had in there.
Bro, when I think of, and we talk about money, right? And as we talk about money, I think this is a topic too that I know we get in. I want to leave time for the audience to ask questions for our viewers, man. And first and foremost, I want to salute all the kings. I want to salute all the queens. I appreciate y'all for tagging in. I appreciate y'all for subscribing. Because at the end of the day, this platform is for you guys. This is what Therapy Thursday is about. Many of you may or may not have access to a therapist. I am a legit therapist, and this is what we do. These Therapy Thursdays every other week is for us to, it's like an informal therapy session. So y'all getting free therapy, and all you got to do is tune in. So tune in, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. We locked in Therapy Thursdays every other Thursday. I'm Joe Williams, LCSW, right? When I think of our community, I think of our spending habits too. What is a food desert? Why do we have so many fast food spots in our community where the food is for the low and for the cheap? And what this food that's for the low and for the cheap does to our actual bodies. I worked in a dialysis center. I worked for two major dialysis companies. The majority of the individuals that came in, and if for those of y'all that don't know, dialysis is a stage when a person has kidney or renal failure. It reached stage 5 where the kidneys do not work anymore. Your kidneys act as a filter to grab all of the toxins that you ingest in your body. And when they do not work, all these toxins just run rampant. One of the leading cause of kidney failure is diabetes. When we think of diabetes, some it is inherited, some is genetics. Most or others is due to what we ingest. So in our communities, in our impoverished communities, not only is our school system receiving less money for programs that will teach civics, that will teach economics, that will teach financial literacy to our children, there's a bunch of fast food spots throughout our community that the working parent, I don't got time to cook. And, this may or may not be a 2-family household, a 2-headed household. And therefore, grab something to eat real quick. Grab something while you out. And as you grab something to eat from the Chinese restaurant, as you grab something to eat from McDonald's, as you grab something to eat from Popeyes and from Wendy's, we are ingesting poison into our bodies that's impacting and affecting our long-term lifespan. This ties in with financial illiteracy. Why? It actually costs less to go food shopping and to cook a meal. We need to be educated as a community. We need re-education as a community. Mo, what was the spot you took me to on Juiceville, on Belmont?
Juiceville is on Belmont. I go there.
Brownsville.
You came out to visit me. Soon as you came out to visit me, I was like, yo, you said, yo, I just finished eating. Remember that?
Yep.
I see it, but I got to take you to this spot right here, because this spot right here, they feed you real well.
That's a fact.
And then from there, we went right to Juiceville, got some real nice, beautiful juices.
Yes.
You're right, though. I like to tell people that in spite of spending like that, they think in the short term, spending more by gaining less with the food helps. But in reality, if you spend more that with what is beneficial for you, it will actually be beneficial for you in the short and long term, versus spending a lot of money that on items that are not good for you. It will actually be detrimental for you in the short term and the long term. So to your point about diabetes and renal kidney failure and stuff, but I apologize. I know you want to keep going on. Excuse me, brother.
No, King. I mean, this is a team effort, bro. So but it's another aspect of financial illiteracy. And as you count where the money is going, we'll realize, oh snap! In a day, I done went to McDonald's twice, so I went here, I went there, and I'm spending all my bread.
That goes up.
That's a fact.
I'm not gonna lie. I was in Queens. I got a nice Jamaican meal on Linden Boulevard for like $5, bro. Full plate, $5, bro. Fire too.
Nice.
Banking though, a lot of banking rentals and predatory loaning is killing our communities. We don't know about that. We don't know what's going on with that. And they, overprice everything on us and be getting us for all kind of bread. Another thing as far as banking, knowing how to, budget money and save money in the bank and credit. That's like, if you don't use credit, you don't go into debt. Debt comes from the use of credit. But even if you got bad credit, like us coming home from prison, they don't understand. We had no credit. We didn't have no history.
And that's the worst.
That's the worst. Yo, these dudes be trying to tell me it's better when you come home, it's better to have bad credit. No, it's not. No history of credit is the worst thing ever.
Facts.
Because at least if you were paying bills, I know you've been at for the last 20 years. All right, you behind a little bit. You missed a couple payments. We still going to give you stuff. We still going to give you stuff. I see people with bad credit. They getting cars. They getting everything still, bro, because they paying daily bills. You paying a mortgage. You paying for your car note. You paying for this. You paying for that. So, they still going to give you money, bro. That if you learn the credit game and you know how to use credit, then you can save a lot of money, because once your credit score becomes better, everything is cheaper. A lot of the percentages that we pay, the interest rates for cars and stuff like that is lower the better your credit is.
Mm-hmm.
How we buy cars. I know some people that talk about, all I do is only buy new cars every time I go. I don't. You spoke about that earlier briefly, but we didn't really go into it. Buying cars. Is it rather to buy cars straight out, or is it better to lease it? Or is it better to finance a car?
That's a fact.
I mean, what I seen from what I used to know to now, it's better to finance a car. I wouldn't lease a car because you don't own it.
That's
but
a fact.
It's
and
better to
actually
finance
give
a
you
car.
money away.
If a car costs $50,000, right? Instead of you taking $50,000 out your pocket, you could put down $5,000, pay $700 a month. You still got, $45,000 or $44,000 in your pocket and change in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
paying $700 a month for whatever time, and then that car is yours. You can invest that other $47,000 and make more money.
That's a
I don't
fact.
know.
Well, you know, and I think what other, and I'm listening to
And
you
it's
guys.
building your credit more.
That's a fact.
And I think what other, somebody had put it in the chat. G5 Bree, shout it out, my brother. I see that other cultures are in the habit of, yes, Patricia, you're right. Inflation negatively impacts our community on major levels. And I think what other cultures do significantly and at a much higher rate than we do is they pool their resources amongst each other. And you mentioned the term called isusu, right? When you think about it, myself, Mikey B, and KK going into business together, this is the way we pool our resources. Mikey B supports me, I support him, etc. like that. My brother, me and Joe, you know, we go into business together. We collaborate our ideas. There is that opportunity for us to keep each other kind of growing together. So it's not just a relationship in which we're coming together just talking about it. We're sitting down and we're discussing ways in which we can benefit together. We're coming up with a strategy as to how you and I, or all of us, can become empowered. And I think over the course of time, if we're in each other's lives and we're not helping each other, you know, we have to be very mindful of what the relationship is even for. And I'm not sitting here saying that we just get rid of people because, you know, there's no benefit. I'm not saying that, because we're all on different levels and we don't want to, you know, get into the habit of denigrating and disrespecting each other. What I'm simply saying is that it's important that our relationships are more than just bland and empty relationships. They should be very intentional. We should know exactly why we are in each other's lives, and that the reason we're interacting with each other is that we want to intentionally empower one another.
That's a fact.
Because what happens is that we end up abusing time and not investing in it at our own detriment. So I'm not going to be in Joseph Williams's life if I'm not going to help him empower himself, and vice versa.
It sounds funny every time you say my name, son.
Right? It sounds crazy, right? So, you know, so I think that we really need to start putting serious emphasis on who we are and valuing our potential, and really making an intentional effort to figure out how we can uplift each other.
That's a fact.
Forget about going to buy some Louis Vuitton, some Balenciagas, all that stuff. I mean, if you scamming, you out there doing whatever, then obviously it comes easy to you, right? Let's just keep it 100. You know, if that's the thing you doing, then by all means, you know, it's gonna come easy, right? I'm not gonna sit up here and tell nobody what they shouldn't or shouldn't be doing. That's not my place, right? What I'm simply saying is that, you know, overall, if you are in someone's life, if you have friends, family, relatives, etc., as opposed to just going to buy some red bottoms or some Balenciagas, perhaps sitting down with each other and trying to figure out how we can create your own Balenciaga might be a better way for you to, you know, think about, you know what I'm saying, how you can generate some money and empower yourselves overall. And I think that's what the ultimate point that I'm trying to make is, yo, listen, please hit that subscribe button.
Hit that like button. That's right.
Hit that subscribe and that like button. And if you have any questions, because we're not going to be here all night, it's getting late. We came on later than usual. We apologize for that. You know, our time tonight is limited. But if you got any questions that you want to ask the brother Joe, or you want to ask the panel in particular, then we don't mind answering it. Hit the like button. I don't know how many people are inside the chat, those who are tuned in listening, but please hit that like button.
I was talking to my sister. She was in here tonight. She probably listening too. Yo, she got so many pairs of shoes, right? Because she's about to buy a house. She got money. She's doing good. She's doing well for herself. Great life, you know, great job. I respect her. And she like, you know, I like to look fly, I like to look good. But she's moving out of an apartment or a house. She's renting a house and moving, into a house. I'm like, yo, that's a mortgage between your bags. You know what I'm saying? That's the down payment right there in your shoes. And they still got more shoes. I'm like, yo, y'all is ill. Y'all, and they got, 1,500, 2,000, they got all the new stuff. And it's like New York, when I look at it, me and my wife, we a homeowner. So it's a little difference paying a mortgage because you put in the equity, you keep in the equity. This is why I like to finance over leasing, because the equity, the money that I'm putting into this car is mine.
That's a fact.
I don't. That's that. When you lease, it's like you renting the car for 3 years.
Yep, and then you gotta give it back, and you don't have.
And you have no equity.
Right.
It's the same thing as renting. It's the same thing as renting. So in New York, they live in a house, they rent a house. So it's like $3,500. $3,500.
Mortgage. That's mortgage.
That's more than some people's mortgages. So now you save up your, when Obama came in, you need less than you needed before to put down a mortgage in America. I think it was down to 10%.
It's with a lot of the whole first-time home buyers, and based on if you make X amount, there's a lot of programs throughout the boroughs, throughout various communities that will help with the assistance of a first-time home buyer. As long as you don't make X amount of money, they'll help you with, be it the down payment, as long as you have 3 to 5%. I do want to touch on one thing. I like, because like KK said, I want to give a strategy, right? One of the things that helped me when I came home to rebuild my credit score and build it fast, I got what's called a secured credit card, right? And what a secure credit card is, you go to the bank, if you already got a bank account open with them, or you open one, right? And some may say, all right, they want 300. So you put 300 down on a credit card, and it's a secured credit card. Now, what you do is you don't spend more than 30% of that credit card. So say you buy a pair of jeans, buy a pair of kicks. Within a month, within 30 days of that bill, the bill will say only spend $20, $25. Pay the whole thing off. Pay the whole buck off. Pay the whole whatever it is off, right? The next month, you buy another pair of jeans, something for $100. If you have a $300 max, and I'm just giving the number 300, you only spend a good buck, if even buck, $90, right? End of that month, you pay that off. What's going to happen by the end of month 4 to 6, you're going to get a letter in the bank that's going to be returning your 300 or 500 or whatever you put in, and it's going to let you know that your secured credit card has been upgraded to an unsecured credit card, and your credit limit may be up. What you have been able to do in that time and using that tactic is build a credit score. And so as you have a higher credit score, this is why some people, when you see some of these commercials, it'd be like you come in and it's a new Benz, the 2022 is 0 down. 0 down means that person has a high credit score and they can show X amount of equity to let it be known, I can afford this, but I don't have to put nothing down up front. But if we don't know the chess moves on how to build this credit score, and we would be remiss as a panel, as a team, as sharers of information, if we don't just talk about what the problem is and not talk about also what the solution is and how we uplift our community and not keep falling for the fool's mate moves. That's it.
Great
One of
point,
the lessons I got as a youth from my father was keep your cash, spend your credit. Keep your cash, spend your credit. When he used to buy me and my sister, my brother and stuff, clothing, we didn't go to Jamaica Avenue. We went to Macy's. We went to Macy's and he swiped it on his card. And, another thing about his lifestyle, like we was talking about lifestyle, because lifestyle is big when you try to save money or, and stack your bread. He was a businessman, so he had his slacks and all that he would walk around with. But on a weekend, he used to go out. He was living a good life. Man, don't you know he had one pair of jeans? My father had one pair of jeans, bro. He lived in a condo. He had a Benz. He had a work car. He had a bunch of cars. But he had one pair of jeans, bro. He used to wear them every weekend, bro. One pair of jeans. So we gotta. I don't think we have to sacrifice, but if we want to live a certain lifestyle, then we have to make choices. We have to make good choices, and we got to be frugal to some extent. To some extent, you got to be frugal.
Yo, my aunt Sharon just said that she's frugal. Like that's what she just basically stated. Like, yo, she's frugal.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
It's nothing wrong with being frugal. I mean, right now, I'll get to that another time, inshallah. But I think in America for us as blacks, I think we need at least, man. No lie, man. I thank you too, Vita. No problem. Peace as well. I think we need at least 4 or 5 streams of revenue.
Facts.
Word. And I'm just being honest. I mean, and I don't care how it trickles in. I'm not condoning anything illegal. I'm not saying that. What I'm simply saying is that we need 4 or 5 streams of revenue. And when
your money got to be making money for you at some point, bro.
Yeah,
man. You live in America. Your money has to be making some type of money for you.
I told yo, Mikey. I totally agree. Like I don't think that we can't. First of all, just relying on the government itself. Again, everybody's predicament is different, but I'm speaking in terms of the opportunities that we have in this country. Are probably unique to the extent that they probably wouldn't exist like that if we were living in other places. Mm-hmm. So we have an opportunity to be able to take advantage of much of what has been given to us, and we should utilize it, because I'm under the impression that there will come a time, unfortunately, man, where things are gonna get so repressive, man. We're not gonna be able to do the stuff that we're able to do right now. That's just my opinion. But I mean, is there anything you guys want to say, man? Hey, shout it out, man.
Molly, what up?
Jamal Austin, shout it out, Molly.
But a good thing, one of the things that Joe talked about was, people being, a lot of people in America, especially from our hoods, are working from check to check.
Word.
Check, and guess what? Like KK was saying, he was like, damn, my car messed up. I'm like, I got him scrambling to get money. Some people that have any major windfall, it automatically sends them into bankruptcy.
That's a fact.
$1,000, $1,000 over.
You're right.
Whatever they was doing, $1,000 on their car, and it's over. Everything
you're right.
comes crashing down.
Right.
That's a fact. Ideally, it's stated that we should have at least 3 months of expenses saved up.
3 to 6 months in your account.
3 to 6 months in your account. But here's the catch. When I say here's the catch with the chess moves.
And that's to make them understand what that means, though. Make sure they understand what that means.
So 3 to 6 months of expenses. That means your actual bills, the rent,
all your bills,
your mortgage, all your bills,
food.
3 to 6 months for food, everything, for transportation to get to and from work. The strategy is to have that saved up. But here's the key. Don't jump out the window too fast. The saying, we always heard, you got to crawl before you walk. Before you can even crawl, you got to get carried. So you get carried, then you crawl, then you walk, then you learn how to run, then you learn how to ride a bike, then you learn how to drive, then you learn how to fly. We trying to jump straight to flying without being strategic in our steps. This is the instant gratification. This is wanting to look like I got it instead of building to actually get it. And that's why we speak about build your foundation. I want to leave this. My parents retired from transit. My parents didn't come from bread. They travel the world. Throughout this pandemic, they've gone on 6-7 cruises. They've been to 10 or some odd countries. They both transit, they grind and worked and stacked and saved, delayed gratification, and now they living their best life. And they're young, in my opinion. We have to learn to make better chess moves with what we do have. Our situations, some of our situations may be very precarious. There's that saying, I've heard it before. I don't pimp my people, I pimp my paper. So I'm taking the money that I do get and I'm being strategic on where I put it and how I use it to bring me more paper in. That's 4 streams of revenue. There was once I heard, and last 2 things. We should have 6 streams of passive income. 6 streams of passive income where whatever your primary profession, job, main focus is, you got 4 to 6 other hustles that's bringing you money that you're not even actively involved in yourself. That's one. The second thing, and I heard it was on IG, and it was a white dude who was saying, he tell his kids, do not have a debit card. Do not have a debit card. He said, have a credit card. The reason why you should have a credit card is because every time you swipe a credit card and you're able within that month to pay that off, your credit score increases. Every time you swipe a debit card, money just comes out of your bank account. It does not impact your credit score.
And if you got the right credit card, you get cash back. You get some of that money back if you got the right credit cards.
That's a fact. These are the chess moves that we're speaking of, ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens. I salute y'all and I thank y'all for your time and attention. I guess we'll see y'all next Thursday. I know y'all about to, but next Thursday for the next edition of Therapy Thursdays.
You muted Moshe.
Thank you, Mikey B. I truly appreciate. A lot of people, man, they really appreciate Therapy Thursdays, and I'm one of them.
Yeah, me too.
So it puts things into a different perspective. If it's anything that you've gotten from tonight, at the very least, man, let it be that, we just need to just reevaluate how we spending our money. Just put some thought into it. If that's all you get from tonight, then you got something good from that. But don't let this conversation just be something that you don't gain benefit from. Then it would just be in vain. And with that, you do us all a disservice. Mike, you got something you want to say before we close out, KK?
Peace. It was a good chat, man. I love Therapy Thursdays, man. You know what I mean? Definitely.
Listen, now. I'm your host, Moshe Canty. Shout it out to everybody that tuned in. Bella Baggy, Sadie B on Sharon Rasta Foundation of the Sun 13. R. Rivera. Everybody that's in the chat, man. We, stop y'all. We see y'all, man. We truly appreciate y'all coming on board with us. J Moneybags. Check your IG Moneybags. We got you, bro. We definitely want to get up with you because every time you've been coming through, you've been talking a lot about this real estate stuff. So me and Mikey B, man, Joseph Williams, we really gonna have to have a conversation with you, man. Even bring you up here. We can extend that conversation about the real estate thing. So, all right, with that, man, thank everybody for tuning in, man. Again, I'm your host, Moshe Canty. I'm here with my brother Mikey B. We closing out. KK, Joseph Williams. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another classic episode, my brother. Love y'all, man.
Yeah, we're gonna bring some guys in. All these guys talking that big money stuff. We're gonna bring these guys in and do some teaching.
Listen, man, he talking that real estate, that big body of money.
Big money bags. We're gonna bring
big
you
money
in,
bags. All right, man. I love y'all, man. We locked in.
Peace, Kings. Peace, Queen.
Nate Sean, I love you, my brother. Shout out Sugar Bear.